Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rewinds Rewind. What if one time I started this and it was like, ugh, what are you doing here? But that'd be fun. I'll have to do that maybe one time. But yes, it's the Rewinds Rewind episode 4. Things are things are steinily farting to heat up. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Let me
Preview to
compose
Swan's
myself.
competition.
Things are finally starting to heat up in Big Brother Rewind 17. And we're here to talk all about it. We do have myself, Jackson, of course, and I'm joined with 4 other lovely people, one of which is about to introduce themselves in 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God, it's my BBR 17 Rewinds debut. It's your
Yay!
girl Swan here for my own play week. I got to be main character a bit this week and piss off both house guests and hosts. So, happy
Wait,
to be
you
here.
pissed us off? I wasn't pissed.
With that monologue
The
competition.
scoring.
Oh
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't. It's not like y'all were mad at me. It
No.
was just like y'all were mad at the
Yeah,
competition and our
yeah.
we were
placement
mad.
of
We were
it,
mad at
and
the
then also
situation.
I was trying to rush a POV that I didn't finish, and so
No, it's
like I
okay.
wasn't able to help score. So here we are. It's all done.
We got
It's
there
It's
over.
okay.
eventually. Yeah.
It's okay.
It all happened, so
I'm Sydney, the one of 2 females on the cast being. And I'm excited to talk about this week because it was fun.
hell yeah.
Hi, I'm Alex. I am the other woman on the hosting team. So glad that Sydney's with us this week. It was so sad being all alone with all the men last week. It was really
No,
rough.
betrayal.
Of
It was
course.
really,
Of
really
course.
rough.
I'm Graham, Stream 911 on Hulu, and
You're
this is
so gay.
also my BB Rewinds 17 Rewind debut. It's my first time on this season.
Woo!
So
Yeah, Graham and Swan, you
Yay!
haven't been on the pod quite yet. So real quick, what are some of the highlights that have happened for you in the season so far, if you have some?
Um, I don't know. It's kind of been funny, their illiteracy.
Mhm.
Um, like that's always I mean, it's actually kind of frustrating as a host because you want to like make comps that people are going to thrive in. Like we don't want
Yeah.
to trip like we want like them to be tricky, but we don't want people to like outright fail.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to think of anything specific that's like stood out as like well one of my highlights is from this week, so we'll get
Oh, well,
to it. We'll
perfect.
get to it.
We'll get into it
We got some spicy DMs, some spicy house chat business.
then.
So we'll get to that.
yeah, I just really love how like fluid the season is. I feel like we haven't had a really like this fluid of a cast in a while. I know 16 kind of had some players that went like in and out, but for the most part, it was very like this is what we're doing. Like we had like the sides going on and like Zach being crazy in the middle. But this season it actually feels like we have a bunch of different people with a bunch of different alliances, but there's no actual like sides going on. So I'm really interested to see what happens because I think we have a really uh like top heavy cast of like really good characters. So the more we get closer to jury, I'm anticipating like a crazy jury run with
Hell yeah.
the cast of people we have. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I do kind of get like Rewind's 13 vibes a little bit with this cast.
yeah, absolutely. It really does remind me of 13 where like the pre-jury is people like trying to like really set themselves up for a jury situation because it's like in 13 like once you get down to the final like 9 we had in 13 it was like boom 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 giant like all of the jurors in Rewinds 13 were just like falling one by one but they were all like all stars like they were all like you know what I mean people who've either come back already or were coming back like it was like that's kind of the vibe I get with this cast of the amount of like really viable entertaining people that we have I think it's going to be a fun jury.
Yeah,
I think this is
absolutely.
actually even more fluid than 13. Like, I do agree that, like, just cast quality wise, it is very 13 esque, but I feel like 13 had like that division of the newbies versus the vets and everything, even though
Yeah,
it did get fluid, like it started off that way. Whereas I think this season is a bit more like the power structure versus like the legitimate or perceived inactives, you know?
yes, Yeah.
And so I think it's just going to make jury like really fucking violent, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
too. I'm excited. So yeah, let's get into it. At the end of last cycle, our first HOH of the season, Austin was ultimately evicted against Shelley. May Judas rest in peace. He's no longer with us. Um, and yeah, we kind of went in. I think Austin was kind of, well, I wanted to say maybe Austin was kind of the last of kind of the easier boots for the people that kind of had in cycle one, people were like lining up like, okay, well, Clay's gonna go, Steve's gonna go, we'll probably get Austin out. And I think that's kind of as far out as people had planned. I will say, I think at the end of last cycle, with John basically being the only one fighting to try and get Austin to stay, he maybe set himself up a little bit to be kind of on the outs of a lot of things, which we will see continue to happen in this cycle. But by and large, I think the days of like an easy boot is kind of done. And I think no matter what, from here on out, people are going to be fighting for it. So let's get right into it. We have an HOH competition, of course. We go into play week, as Swan mentioned earlier. Um, there are more things on Broadway than just musicals, people. There are straight
Period.
plays with no singing
Sometimes
involved.
people just talk.
Yeah, sometimes people just talk and feel their feelings. Okay.
I don't know if I'd call them straight plays. Let's just say no.
Oh yeah. They can be very gay, but
Gag.
they're just plays. No singing involved.
Gag.
And for our HOH competition, well, actually, Swan did it. So, Swan, how about you describe what the HOH competition is? Since it was
So this
your
is
baby.
a semi-classic rewinds competition. We've done it once or twice before, I think. It was actually kind of birthed, I think, from Alex a little bit, enjoying me doing dramatic readings of stuff. And it just became like, okay, what if we made that a competition, like a typing
Mhm.
competition where like we just take famous speeches? And it was also a little egotistical on my part because I was like, well, of course we're gonna do the Sheila speech, like like in the first time we ran the competition. So take iconic speeches from Big Brother Rewind's history. I do a dramatic interpretation of them, and then the house guests have to type it for accuracy and time. They get penalties for any misspelled words. And then, the least amount of penalties wins out of household. We did it in rounds. So it was like four people taking out the first round, four people taking out the second round, and then the top two of the final round, the final speech, win the two HOHs. And so we did we did Amber's. So they were all BBR 16. So we did Amber's like GPT's speech she like sent to people about her nominations. Like, hey girly, like it was very like ridiculous.
Mhm.
We did the legendary Caleb Beast Mode Cowboy, also Chat GPT speech that was like when he won veto, right? Because he'd won a bunch of Battle of the Blocks and
Yeah.
then he won veto and took himself off.
Mhm.
I did that with I went back to my Texas roots. We had a little country twang in there. And
Uh-huh.
then lastly we had the iconic Jocasta speech. Like honestly up there, like the Mount Rushmore BBR speeches is Jocasta's against Zach to get Zach evicted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those were our three speeches, paying homage to those old players. And yeah, we spun it as like monologues for play week. So that was, our being tied in. And some house guests did okay and others got deeply frustrated, both with having to type a lot and with starting and stopping start watches as
Yeah. A tale as old as time
general
is
problem.
people just not being able to start and stop their stopwatches, I guess. I think
Truly.
they're learning now. I think they've learned by this point, but they do themselves no favors. And by they, I mean mostly
Yeah.
Shelley. So, but yeah,
Can I
as
just
the
say though, it is really adorable that she now in her subs does in major big letters, "Future Shelly, start and stop every like she leaves little notes to herself, and it's very cute. I love little
It's
growth
yeah,
arc for her.
it's very like leaving like little post-its around the house and places to like remember to do things.
You know what? Whatever it takes.
Exactly.
The
Absolutely.
cougar dementia is just hitting soon. So
Yeah. She's gotta keep her mind sharp with these things. And yeah, we do have some people that also are throwing. I think Jackie pretty blatantly through a lot of it. Like she would, when we were grading it, she would have fully just like sentences that she left out, and stuff like that. But it does come down to it. As Swan said, there are 4 people eliminated in the first round to get down to 8, and then 4 people eliminated in the second round to get down to 4, and then the top 2 from the third round get to be the HOHs, and the third and fourth get nothing. Um, we see Liz. I think Liz was maybe the only person that actually actively chose to do this on mobile, and that really worked out for her. She had like the fastest times in a lot of them, and like the
To
fewest
me
errors.
because like I can type really fast on a computer. I could not do that shit on mobile. That would drive me
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Maybe autocorrect helped though in terms of penalties.
Oh, maybe. I didn't think about that. But yeah, maybe she whipped it out. Like she got like straight up 0 penalties on the first one, 0 penalties on the second one, and then only like 2 on the last one. And compare that to people that were actively trying and like not actually throwing, getting like over like 15 or like over 20 penalties on like especially the last one. So it was very impressive. So honestly, Liz kind of like comes out of nowhere after being in her like self-described like 4-day like inactive slump, and comes out and kind of like
After
beasts the
after
HOH.
eating mac and cheese for 4 straight days,
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck they said that was.
Yeah. And then it's also it was kind of funny because going into the HOH, a lot of people, because pretty much like a good half of the house, if not more, either assume or really, really know for a fact, maybe like 98%, that Vanessa is the twin. And she's not telling, she's only the only person she's told is Becky. Um, which she does later in this cycle actually, but spoiler alert, she tells Becky that there's a twin and that Vanessa is actually Vanessa and Veronica. But um everyone else, like Jackie, for example, and James, both just assume that it's her. And Jackie wants to like use that and be like, I could get an extra number for this. Like I need to tell, or I need to like try and get in with Vanessa. And before HOH finishes, all these people are like, oh well, Liz and Vanessa, they're kind of like whatever. They're kind of just here. And Jackie takes it upon herself to go to Vanessa and tell her that Jeff was speculating in the Rocktight Alliance, the alliance of the season, that Jeff was calling out Vanessa as the twin, and actually he like wants to target her because of the twin, which isn't like fully accurate to what happened. I don't know if it was
I
just,
don't think he explicitly talked about targeting her.
yeah,
However, I do agree that just by bringing up the twins, the idea that she is the twins paints a target on her, regardless of whether or not that's your intention.
yeah,
I think the biggest mistake here is putting that information in the fucking J Alliance of all people. Why are we talking serious game in a meme alliance?
yeah.
That's my biggest strike on Jeff here, is I'm like, great that we're talking game, that we're strategizing, we're throwing ideas around. Let's do that in real alliances, maybe, please, please.
Yeah, and
And
also
it's not even just the J Alliance, it's like half the house. Like, even if it wasn't just a meme alliance, when you're telling 7 people this at once, somewhere it's gonna go somewhere eventually.
yeah. Well,
Like,
the Alliance is a
regardless,
public space, so
yeah, regardless of if it's memeified or not, when you tell 7 people that, it's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that wasn't great on Jeff's part. But also I wasn't mad at Jackie telling Vanessa this, but I would have omitted that it was in the Alliance. I would have just said that Jeff was saying it, which is what James did. James just said, "Hey, Jeff is saying this. I don't fully know like his intentions with it, but like Jeff's."
No, James actually said just someone in the J Alliance
Oh,
said this.
okay.
He didn't specifically name a name, but he did name the space, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
See,
okay.
to me, that would have been worse if I was Vanessa, of like somebody in the J Alliance. Like, why would you just
Yeah.
tell me so generally?
Yeah.
But that is interesting.
Yeah. So all these people talking or kind of have Liz and Vanessa's like names on their mouths. And so it's kind of fortuitous that those are the 2 people that end up being HOH as the cycle starts with the HOH competition, and people are kind of like, "Oh, what the fuck? What are we gonna do?"
I was so happy. I
No,
was
I was
so
happy
thrilled
too.
at people shitting their pants. It was just delightful.
Yeah. And I think it was genuinely like two people that needed an HOH to kind
Love
of
it like when both HOHs incite panic across the house. You know,
Oh, yeah.
like with this twist, usually like half the people are feeling comfortable, at least with, like somebody expected win, but like those two could have very easily been noms next to each other. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it's
Like
beautiful.
we had one last week with Jason where people were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do?"
But
But
it's
this
like,
week
but
was
everybody's just
fully,
like, that's fine. We'll just
yeah,
dethrone Jason. You know, this is like, who do we want dethroned?
yeah, this week was fully was both of them. And Vanessa does not really waste any time going and confronting Jeff about um him speaking up in the Gilliance about Vanessa being the twins. Uh, not exactly tight lips as far as that went.
Oh,
Um,
no.
And obviously, if Jeff is like, okay, well, the only people that would know I was doing this would be in this alliance. So it already narrows it down to like five people that it could possibly be. And he knows it's not James. Well, yeah, because him and James are close, so he doesn't think it's James. And he kind of, I don't think he suspects that Jason would be the person to do it either, because him and Jason are also kind of close, but also Jason just doesn't talk to people enough to do something, let alone to Vanessa of all people, because they kind of hate each other. Um, so he's already narrowing it down to like who it could possibly be, and it for whatever reason it ends up falling onto John already, just through like some miscommunication maybe or like misreading what people said, but also John has already been the scapegoat for quite a few things just because of his positioning in the house and everything. So I think whether it's consciously or subconsciously, people are more than okay to be like point the finger at John. And so Jeff thinks that John was the one that told Vanessa, and now he's
I
pissed at.
think I saw somewhere also that like John, he was like, John's the only person who didn't deny it to me because everyone tells the truth in Big Brother.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's the golden rule in Big Brother. You have to tell the truth.
Mhm.
But and then Jeff obviously goes to the other people in the Alliance, and so everyone knows. So Jackie now knows that Vanessa immediately took what she said and went right to Jeff and be like, "Why did you say this? I heard that you were talking about me in this alliance." And Jackie was like, "What the fuck? Like, why would I do
Yeah,
that?"
I will say we'll get into it later, talking about, I mean, spoiler alert, talking about Liz being the full HOH after Vanessa gets dethroned. But for two people that really needed this HOH power to like consolidate some sort of positioning in the house, neither of them really did it in a productive way in order to make lasting gains in the house other than just like pissing everybody off.
No, no,
Yeah, well, okay. I feel like I get where Jackie's coming from, but I also think Jackie's being a little bit of a hypocrite when it comes to like, because Jackie gets mad at Vanessa essentially because, like, Jeff finds out. Vanessa tells Jeff, like, you've been saying shit about me. I heard that, and that's why I'm going to nominate you, which is like Vanessa needed a valid reason, and that's a good valid reason.
no.
Should Vanessa have probably checked with Jackie or been like, hey, I'm going to say this to Jeff, just a heads up? Yes. But like, Jackie, you can't be mad at somebody leaking when you're leaking. Like you started the leak. Like this is
especially when her leak in the first place was literally by her own admission. She's like, I really think Vanessa's the twin. I kind of want to see what she like says to me when I tell her
yeah,
that someone thinks she's the twin. Like, I just want to see if she tells me. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't to try to protect her.
No.
It was just like,
yeah.
let's just fucking see what happens.
hmm
Yeah. So not
I
great, guys.
know it's just kind of like you don't have too much room to be upset about this, and also like because like that's a normal thing for somebody to do. Like and and because Jackie wasn't the only person that told Vanessa either, it's just like it's a mess. It's
This is a mess all around.
Well,
I think that part of the reason why Jackie was mad at Vanessa wasn't just because Vanessa was leaking. It was more like the fact that instead of taking that information and like strategically putting it aside and thinking like, how am I going to use this information against Jeff or someone else in the future? Vanessa was reactionary and like impulsive and went straight to Jeff, which I think, yes, I mean, Jackie is being a hypocrite by being mad about the leaking, considering she leaked it immediately after he said it. But I do think she's right in being at least understanding that, okay, this isn't the kind of person I should be allied with, at least right now. Because it's true, like Jackie was like, I just want to see what happens. But Jackie was also like in her DR, if they are the twins, I think it would make sense for me to be allies with them for like future, for if they enter the game. So there was an element of like, if they reveal that to me, like that could be a big boon for myself. And I do think she was interested, like genuinely interested in working with them. And it just didn't work.
Yeah, and then the twins immediately like proof exactly why she wouldn't want to
Yes,
work with her.
exactly.
So yeah. Also, it's worth mentioning that Vanessa and Liz aren't very high on each other's trust rankings either to begin with. They're both in like the bottom third of each other's, I would say. But they
Like
do,
they do make the no backdoor deal, but I
yeah,
think they would have nominated each other if they weren't co-HOHs for
yeah.
sure.
I think if either were eligible, they probably would have been initial nominees for either of them. But yeah, since they are, they kind of follow suit with what the other HOHs have been doing and make that no backdoor plea deal or whatever.
Which is
Um,
so interesting that two people that are kind of semi on the bottom also hate each other. Like it's so funny that like again this game is so fluid like we were talking about that there's no like sides versus sides currently. It's like the
Well,
power
that's
structure and like all the people
yeah.
on the bottom, but all the people on the bottom also hate each other. So
Yeah, that's the problem is like besides like kind of like Jeff and Jason having their kind of like battle of the block solidarity, like everybody else on the bottom is opposed. So even when the people on the bottom are winning HOHs, they're not putting up like big power players that are going to better like that they're not making moves that are going to better position themselves in the game. They're just kind of like unknowingly doing the power players dirty work for them and getting out like lesser trusted players that like aren't the quote unquote easy votes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
yeah, but
Because
when
like
they
most
do
people would
that,
just like want Jason out or something like that. But like
yeah,
when Jason wins HOH, it means okay, Jason's safe, but he can shoot at lower people that like wouldn't necessarily be the easy votes for right now, but because the easy votes are safe, they're going home.
yeah,
Yeah.
but also it's
How
the
you get
idea of like
Sheila, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. It's like the idea of if I'm like, I don't know, third to last and I nominate the bottom two people, then next week, if one of those people is gone, then I'm a nominee because that cushion is gone because now I'm in the bottom spot. It's like they're not doing anything to actively like help themselves. It's really an interesting look.
I don't even think they realize they're in the bottom spots though, honestly.
I
Because
think
I
that's the
think it's
problem because
been
I was gonna say
yeah.
like Jason even talked about like the concept of veggie shields and like having that padding below him, but then like he kind of seems to be talking in his DR like he's really well positioned, and it's like okay, King, sure.
I know.
Yeah, I know, I know. I think this alliance that he made last cycle has like lulled him into being like, well, maybe I'm doing okay. It's like
The
I
nope.
way
mean,
I didn't even know he got an alliance last cycle is crazy.
well,
Yeah.
and like it has to be said, it is impressive the fact that Jason, when he's not HOH, keeps being nominated and keeps winning himself immunity. Like that's impressive.
Yeah.
But to say that that puts you in a good position is delusional. He's a
No.
bit delusional. Well, yes. I'm also not happy with, for viewers listening, I'm not happy with Jason right now for other reasons. Game reasons. But I can't say anything because it's spoilers skipping ahead.
I
But
love
I'm
a little cockroach. A
I'm not
cockroach with a punch.
I've been fine with Jason. Well, I mean, yes.
I'm a Jason stan. I'm sorry.
Do the J names piss me off? Not their fault, just because there's so many of them. Yes, they do have that working against them for me. But Jason, listen, if things go my way, I'll like you again. I can like a block star, a cockroach, it's fine. But no, right now, fuck Jason.
Yeah,
And I said
Jason's on your shit list for right now.
that.
Very good. But yes, Vanessa and Liz get to talking about nominations. Liz was first overall, so she does get to pick, and so naturally, like everyone has done before, she chooses to nominate first. Um, Vanessa was nominated by Jason last cycle, so the twins really want to nominate Jason again this cycle.
Yeah, she's like hungry for vengeance.
Yes, she wants that Twink's blood on their hands. Um, and also Liz has this like inner monologue in her diary room about how she would feel hypocritical and bad if she just nominated like less active players when she's been a less active player and now she's suddenly HOH. which I get. I think that would be one thing if she was the only HOH and
Yeah.
like there wasn't a whole other HOH that's also making nominations. I feel like because that's fine and she could have I I think it also really didn't help that she was first. I think if she would have picked to go second, just have the twins nominate Jason and Jeff, then I think the people who she ends up choosing to nominate, which is Shelly and John, would have been a little bit more okay with it. Do I think they would have been overjoyed about it? No. But I think there was a lot of contributing factors to why people wanted to write in Liz on last episode's award for worst bedside manner of an HOH. That hadn't even happened yet. But just it kind of compounds on top of each other. And she also goes to John and Shelly and is like, hey, ooh, like sends gifts and like shit like that. She's like walks in and she's like,
I love a good walks in.
I'm so sorry. Um, I hope you win Battle of the Block. And she does it, and
So
John and
bad.
Shelley just are not vibing with it. They're so
Okay, what is with the HOHs this season? And like everybody is just like, "Hey, I'm gonna nominate you, but I hope you win Battle of the Block." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like, I don't like that would not vibe with me at all. Luckily, I didn't play with this fucking twist, but to me, I'm just like, you're
Say
admitting
it with
you
your
want to be
chest. Like,
dethroned, you didn't
yeah.
want power, like all these people winning HOH and then telling people, "Oh, I didn't want it." Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just like.
it's that on the same coin too. It's the other way around. People are like, for people are like, I'm mad to be nominated. It's like, or like,
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
makes me feel bad when I'm nominated. Like, yeah, yeah, no one wants to be nominated. Like this whole like Shelly getting really
I
upset.
have had games where it does get emotionally taxing, so I get it to a
Yeah,
certain extent. But at the same
yeah,
time, it is like we did sign up for this game, and like you are, it's just, and by nature of the twists, a lot of people are going to get nominated, and by nature of the
like
twists, a lot of people are probably going to stick to the same nomination pool too.
Yeah.
like
Like
that's
it
just
just kind of is what it is. It's
how
what
it
you signed up
goes.
for, and it's what you've got to do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been like a epidemic almost.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the wrong word, but of
And I'm
people
like, hey, if you've been nominated that many times and you're able to complain about it, it means you've survived at least. So
yeah. Well, not
props to
even
you for
that,
that.
just people
You
being
live to complain another day.
it's like people being like frustrated that they're like actively participating in the game for me. It's like people being upset that they're winning HOHs or
Yeah.
like not. I mean, obviously it's right to be upset to be nominated, but like I don't know, it's like anytime they're like main characters of the season right now and they're like I don't want to be a main character. Like it's so interesting. It's just
Yeah.
such an interesting dynamic to me
Yeah.
of people like fucking off and like not wanting anything to do with like being in the spotlight whatsoever.
Yeah. There has been at least one HOH, if not both, every cycle that has gone to their nominees and told them, hey, I'm nominating you because I have faith that you'll win Battle of the Block and I
Yeah,
want
that's
you to dethrone
crazy.
me.
That's crazy.
That's insane. Yeah.
There's been a
It's
very
wild.
crazy mix of like very bad at breaking the news and very bad at accepting the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
been
Just all around.
Which I think is kind of a cause and effect, probably.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
definitely is. And like part of it is the fact that the HOHs are their reasoning is weak or they don't really take care to like make it to like make the news like palatable. Like that was why Meg's HOH was so great because Meg is just very friendly. She's very
Hmm.
careful with the way she breaks news. Not a lot of people in this house can say that.
Mm-mm.
Not a lot of people in this house can say that.
Not a lot of people
But
can say that.
but then on the other end, it's like, yeah, there's people who are like, I can't believe you would do this to me. Like, I'm having a psychotic breakdown. And it's like, well, first, I get it. Like, I be having breakdowns when I play orcs too. So I get it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, there's a level between like, I'm upset about being nominated because it always sucks and no one enjoys it versus like, I'm going to guilt trip you for doing this to me because of X, Y, and Z. And I think sometimes, like, on both sides, it's just been too much. Just a
Yeah.
little.
I feel like I would almost respect it more if it was a strategically guilt tripping.
I absolutely would.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't really seem to be the case. Like,
No.
Very emotional. Yeah. Which again,
Also,
emotions are
if I
normal.
if I have to
oh
look
yeah,
at
I
one
get
more
it. I'm such a mess.
if I have to
Same.
look at
Yeah.
one more block of text from an HOH in their DMs with a nominee, I'm like, that is not the way to do it. I see that block of text as a potential nominee, and I'm like, fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it's play week, but don't monologue at me. Like,
But yes, needless to say, John and Shelley are less than pleased about their impending nominations on the hands of like Uwu Liz, that is just throwing her own pity party for herself. Um, I think Jason kind of gets
Oh,
it
Liz.
more, but
It's
Jason
accurate.
just isn't. Jason isn't
oh, I
exactly.
mean, Jason, I think, straight up was like, yeah, you're nominating me, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
He
Jason would almost prefer it, I think, at this point because he's like, hey, at least I get like three chances if I play and everything. So,
yeah.
and then Jeff is mad. Not so much at like the nomination itself. I think he wasn't too terribly mad about like just the sheer fact that he was getting nominated. But the fact that like the direct reason that Vanessa was stating and had was this whole like twins targeting and Alliance thing. He was very pissed about that. And Jeff was also feeling that the season so far has been really boring and people have been really complacent. So he decides to have quite a few choice words for Vanessa and like
honestly,
threatens
it's
her.
like
And
Jeff. Like, where is Jeff breaking the status quo of this season? Where
Yeah.
is Jeff go playing outside the box? Like, I'm not saying Veronica is either. Sorry, Veronica slash Vanessa. Not saying
Mhm.
the twins are either, but like, he's definitely not. Like, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
his HOH was, like he put up like Jason and John, right? When he was
yeah.
first HOH. Like,
literally
again,
like
like people on the bottom just putting up people slightly higher on the bottom
fighting
than
over
them.
their 1 square inch of land while all the lords over them,
Yeah.
Jace and Jackie and all them, like with all their wealth. Like that's literally what it is. They're just like little serfs, like fighting over their little plots of land. It's like these
Yeah.
like go after the bigger guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not going well for anyone involved. None of the nominees are pleased. Both of the HOHs are doing a pretty bad job. And it's just kind of a mess all around. But the nomination ceremony does happen. Liz goes first and nominates John and Shelley for eviction. Vanessa slash Veronica, the twins, go second and nominate Jason and Jeff for eviction. So those are our two pairs that we will have facing off in this week's Battle of the Block competition.
Woo
And
woo.
which is another lovely competition that was made by Swan. Do you want to give the rundown?
I'm a little biased, but I actually think it was a really fun, cute
Yeah,
comp.
yeah.
Um, Battle of the Block, we've got two pairs in the house. We've got play week. My mind instantly went to a play about two pairs of people, two couples stuck in a house, playing mind games with each other, getting progressively drunk. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Starring none other than my personal favorite actress, Carrie Coon, in her Tony-nominated role on Broadway. Thank you very much. She played Honey.
Period, period.
So I did slip Carrie Coon in with a graphic for the challenge because I am me. Um, but yeah, it's about a play about like people fucking with each other, getting progressively drunk, and like just like antics,
Orcs.
personal drama. So I decided, just like to mirror the couples getting progressively drunk for each other, let's do like a drunk text translation challenge. So I took a couple of quotes from some famous plays, and the pairs were a set of rules each round. There were 4 rounds, so one quote each round, and a set of rules for each round. One player, the drunk texter, gets sent the message and to drunkenly translate it following the rules they've been given. I'm not looking at them exactly, but it was things like, like every vowel becomes the vowel before it, or every
Yeah,
consonant becomes the consonant after it. So all these things, so it looks like just a big jumbled mess.
yeah.
And then
I
the
thought it was super fun.
decoder,
Yeah.
the other partner has to then unscramble it back to the original message. We do penalties based on like wrong letters in both the drunk translation and the decoding. But yeah, that's essentially it. It's just kind of scrambling. One player scrambles the message and then the other player unscrambles it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was great. I've never seen a competition like this before on Discord, so I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Really? Oh, cool. I feel like I've seen similar things
I
before,
mean,
maybe,
I've seen
but
like
I
ciphers
like that
and
it,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
I like that it's one that it was kind of perfect for Battle of the Block to like
Yeah.
make it a under like with the unscrambling, like as I've seen, yeah, ciphers and stuff, but the way it was like one player has to scramble it and then the other has to unscramble it was kind of unique, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Jeff and Jason ended up going first, and Jeff like completely fucked up a rule on the first one, and so there was like 6 errors or so, 5 or 6 errors in the very first one. And we were kind of like, oh no, that might be it. Because
Yeah, and Jeff
they,
was like devastated. Jeff was
yeah,
like, I just lost this for us. It's over.
yeah. Because in the second and third ones, they was like zero. Like they got six and then like
Yeah, no,
zero,
they had a
zero.
perfect score after that.
Yeah. So we were like, damn, I think they're gonna lose. And then John and Shelly rolled up and they said, not on
Well,
our watch. So
they started off strong, only like one mistake on the first one, I think, and then like a perfect score on the one. And then Shelly just fully fucked up one word on the second one, getting enough points to like put them over the edge.
yeah.
And if that weren't enough, the final round, John just fully fumbles it, sending them into double digits. It was rough. I
What
did
was
like
it?
that both of them fucked up enough to where it was both of their fault. Like, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
neither one has to feel too guilty, and neither one can also be too mad at the other person because it's like you both fucked up. Like, even if
Yeah.
you hadn't fucked up, the other would have. Like, even if they hadn't fucked up, you still would have. Like, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah,
you
they
both
both
fucked up.
contributed enough errors that alone they would have lost to the other team if they were
Exactly,
doing it
exactly.
individually. So it wasn't like fault on one person.
And
What
I
was it
felt
that
bad
Meg
scoring.
said?
Like when I scored it and they said they had 28, and I was like, I'm just gonna go announce right now to like, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
I even said first, like, and Jeff and Jason got 5, and they were like, oh, it's over. And I was like,
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
yes.
I think he said like, I'm gonna go announce right now so you don't have to wait. And they were
I
like,
didn't mean it to be like
oh.
rude, but that I kind of came across kind of
No, it was
like,
really funny. It was really
I'm
funny.
gonna put you out of your misery. Like, I'm
Yeah, that's
gonna take
basically
you
Yeah.
what
out
it
back and
was.
shoot you.
Yeah.
I
And
took that behind the barn. It's fine.
yeah, so pretty handily, Jeff and Jason, kind of a repeat of the first cycle. They win Battle of the Block again and leave Shelly and John as the nominees with Liz as the permanent HOH for the cycle. And Shelly's feeling very down on herself. And Shelly's depressed and John's pissed. Shelly's like literally begging people in the house chat to be like, please talk to me, guys. Like, I want to talk to you. I'm trying so hard, and all you have to do is message me, please. And she also goes to her DR, and she, much like Vanessa regarding Jason, she vows to like kill Liz if before she croaks in this game or whatever. And yeah, after being dethroned as HOH, um, Vanessa also is like, okay, I should be safe for like the rest of the cycle because me and Liz made that pact together, so I should be okay. So that theoretically should just mean I only have 1 week of safety that I have to keep, and then it's Vanessa and Veronica both entering. So they want to tell, or at least Vanessa wants to tell Becky, their closest ally, after winning Battle of the Block last week. They got super close. They're like ride or dies, they're besties. So they want to tell Becky that they're the twins. Um, and that's exactly what they do. Vanessa, I think actually they switch until they switch, or they wait until they switch again. Um, but they end up telling Becky, and Becky like freaks the fuck out and is like, I can't believe it. Like I picked the right person. Like, thank God. My allies actually two allies. And there's like,
Well, what was so funny about that was like Vanessa was trying to like be coy about it and like
yes.
joke and like hint, and Becky just fully did not get it. She's like, "What are you talking about? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah. And because they were just like, Becky, I know you've been wondering the whole season, but it's
Well,
true.
of course, the twins being the twins, they like did half of it in gifts. So like,
And Becky was like, wait, what was true? The
yeah.
that John was like leaking things?
What rumors? Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, no. And then they like sent a gif of like Siamese cats or something.
Yeah.
And Becky was like, what?
It
It was so funny
there's
too because when we threw that in iconic moments, I think it was Cam was like, "This is me coming out to my mom," and it was just like
Yeah,
because it
it
was
was
so like
so
out
Real.
of. It was so funny.
and they basically just have to straight up say it. Be like, Becky, I'm the twin. It's
Yeah.
Vanessa and Veronica. And then Becky's finally like, what? You should have told me. It was crazy. It was so funny.
It was cute.
It was very cute.
We
But
do love that like they found somebody they trust though, and like they want to make like a
yeah,
trio
And
chat when
Keith
they're in the
lives in that.
game. Like I'm glad we got the added factor of like the twins telling somebody, because it would have been kind of
Yeah.
boring if like they made it all the way to getting in the game and then like hadn't even told anybody, you know?
and I
And I think it's good
remember.
to invest in at least one or two allies so that not
Yeah.
everybody feels blindsided when it happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was going through either one of the videos or one of the notes for like one of our previous episodes that we done, and we talked about how the twins wanted to find like that one person that they could like ride or die with and like tell them like everything and like tell them about
Hmm.
the twins and everything back in like cycle one. So it's nice that they finally found their person in Becky. And I love their little relationship with Becky. I think it's super cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
Didn't they
Um
rename their one-on-one like triplets or something adorable?
I think
yes.
so, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like not like doublets, but it was like something about two, or it was the like double
It
two.
was like some twin reference because I remember gagging at that. Like, holy
Yeah,
shit! Like this
yeah,
being a Vanessa channel is just very
yeah,
funny to me.
yeah. And they so yeah, Becky's thrilled. The twins are so happy to have told someone finally, and it's a
They
nice.
came out of the closet.
I know,
Happy
thank
for
God.
them.
Yeah, they're living their true and genuine lives now. Um,
Oh, that was the one cute thing too, was like Veronica was like, at least I can finally like be myself with someone in this
Yeah.
house right now. Like, and
yes,
without having to wait, like I don't have to scroll up and see what Vanessa said or like mimic her or like talk about her job as if it's my own. Like I
yeah,
can really just be myself with you. So that was a cute thing after they switched where Veronica was like, thank God, you know.
yeah. That was very, very cute. And yes, so with the noms being I say finalized, but more like semi-finalized, I guess. With Liz staying as HOH and Shelly and John remaining on the block, we do go into the power of veto competition. Um, uh, we have our HOH and our two nominees are playing, obviously. But then we also have Becky, who again, just the fucking bot loves.
That's her
Loves
true duo, is that
yeah,
fucking
literally.
bot.
That's her real ride or die. Yeah, is the bot that we use to pick veto players because Becky gets picked again. She's 4 for 4 in veto competitions now. And then Davon gets picked as well, and Jackie gets picked as well. It's the first time so far that we haven't had a house guest choice for a draw. So all just randomized. So those are our 6 players that we have going into the Power of Veto competition, which was based on one of my favorite plays of all time,
Yes.
in a play that I very inappropriately was a part of in high school at the age of 16. And Swad will give the rundown on that as well.
Yes, so we have our POV comp made from the demented brain of yours truly. August Rewinds County, based on August Osage County. We really lucked out with this actually happening in August too. I was kind of like, "Oh, that
Oh, you're
works."
so right. I
Um,
didn't even think about that. Yeah,
it's
that's great.
it's a Pulitzer Prize winning play. It's just like a family drama. Like it's a play. Like there's a family secret. There's shit going on. People are fighting, throwing plates. It's great, and it's written by Tracy Letts, husband of my favorite actress Carrie Coon. Um,
It all goes
and
back to Carrie Coon.
it always goes back to Carrie Coon.
Yeah.
And then
It's play week. It's
I
Carrie Coon week.
decided exactly. So I decided it would be fun. The POV in the real show was free order competition kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we have like a classic like style of doing that with like gifts here with like a list of items. But I was like, okay, instead of like items or objects, let's just have Rewind's alumni perform scenes from August Osage County, because why
Yeah.
the fuck not? Why not create more work for myself when I could literally just make a gif of a couple items? No, mine. So I handpicked a few like of the a couple of the like really truly iconic scenes, mainly just because I wanted Rewind's alumni to say these words to each other. But just a quick like casting breakdown of like the major characters. So we have like the tyrannical matriarch, like aging, going crazy, drug addicted. That's obviously has to be Cole. So Krista was in the role
Naturally, yes.
of Violet, and then who's her eldest daughter who's like putting up a fight against her, that has to be Ben. So we have Janelle as Barbara, and Kaser as her husband. And who's the younger daughter with the forbidden love that she's nervous to talk to the family about? That obviously has to be Sydney, and she is um fucking her cousin that she doesn't know is actually her half brother. And according to Rewind's lore, who has to be playing her cousin? Why, it's just a horse.
A horse, of course.
The
Of course.
implications. I mean, on God, I need to pray that my law school never that I have a Discord. It's so fucking over for me. Like, imagine like they're doing like my character and fitness check, and they're like, let's see like what people say about her on Discord, and it's just like horse fucker, horse fucker.
Your digital
I-
footprint goes crazy.
Yeah.
It's
I,
actually
I found like Discord notes that I left for people. I think it was like right after 13 or something. Like it's before I was friends with you guys, and I had no memory of making them. But Sydney's is just alleged horse fucker. Like that is the only note I have
thank
for
you for
her.
saying alleged.
Yeah,
You're
right.
welcome.
And also,
But yeah,
just-
at least in the competition, it's images of Rachel from BB6
well, yeah,
and
let me
not
just say
actually
very
you.
short, because actually a lot of people don't know why this is a joke, and I feel like I
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah,
The
give us the origin story.
Yeah, the origin story very briefly is that Rachel Plessner, however you say her last name, from BBR6, who I played as, her job title that she gave to the BBR team at that, or the BB team at that time, was horse breeder. And I thought that was weird. I thought that was weird that you used to call a horse breeder. Like not even like a horse lover or anything, like horse breeder. So we made fun of that the entire season, but then somehow it turned into, instead of Rachel being the horse fucker, because I played Rachel, I became the horse fucker.
Mhm.
So that's what happened. Like there's never
How
been
is Horse Lover any better?
Yeah, I think
And
horse
wanna
here we
know.
are
like,
years, and here we are
but
years
no one thinks
later.
a horse like maintainer. Like, I mean, there's people who just like have horse stables. I've never even been on a horse, guys. I don't even like horses like that. Like, so just everyone who's listening, just
I'd hope you don't like horses like that, babe.
yeah, well, I don't
Literally, like,
oh, I'm scared. I'm actually kind of scared of them because they like trample people. So like
if
I've
you
never even
ever ride a
At
horse,
least-
I'm gonna be nervous.
At least you're not into at least you're not into necrophilia, because then you'd really be beating a dead horse.
Stop it.
like don't piss me off.
Stop it.
So we're gonna move on.
Man.
It's fine. I'm done
Okay,
with it.
so anyway, they get gifts of these characters acting out these scenes, and then at the end of the gift, there's a question like who had an odd number of lines, who had the most amount of lines, who had the 12th line, etc., etc. Done in rounds, slowest or incorrect every round gets eliminated until we have one left with the power of veto. We have a couple people throwing to various degrees of success. Jackie a little overthrows, in my opinion. She's like, let me take 2 minutes on this one and just put obviously incorrect answers for others. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
girl.
Let her
And
do
then
what
we have Devon, who I believe said she wanted to throw and then just didn't.
No.
Like, again, I need to be giving org seminars on the art of the throw, because there is
I
a
was gonna say,
correct
in
I
way
want
Right.
that.
to
I
do it.
want that to be a competition in a future season. I want it to be like a seminar of you showing how to throw a competition.
Here's how you throw.
straight up throwing, but she wasn't trying to win. Like I
No,
think she
well, because something right real quick before we get too deep into it, the veto draws kind of split down the middle. So obviously, if Shelly wins veto, she's going to use it on herself. But Davon also says that she wants to use it on Shelly too, because Liz has gone off and told multiple other people that Shelly is her target, because of these alliances that Shelly has with the people that she likes that don't include her. So Shelly is her target. But for, of course, all of those people who are in said alliances, they would much rather John go and feel that Liz is kind of like double dipping and trying to like take away from their numbers. So
which
Davon,
she is, to be
she
fair.
absolutely is, yeah.
But I do think it was a correct call for Liz to actually target Shelly. She was like, whoa, people are trying too hard to protect Shelly. I would rather get Shelly out than John, because
it was
like
a good read.
clear. Yeah, it
Yeah,
really
it was a
was.
good read, just not the best execution.
Great
though, I don't
execution.
think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then so Shelly and Davon are both contributing factors to Shelly getting off the block. obviously if John wins veto himself, he's gonna take himself off. Liz even like flirts with the idea of taking John off as well because she knows that
Did
people are
she
like
ever
coming
tell
for her.
John that? Because I think she was maybe going to tell John that before veto.
I think so. I think she did tell.
Yeah.
And then Becky is also really likes John as well, and Becky wants to use veto on John if she can. And then we have Jackie, who I believe said to both of them that she was like, yeah, sure, I'll use the veto on you. But like,
When you're throwing that hard, you can say whatever.
yeah, as was mentioned earlier, she's throwing very hard. So it's basically confirmed at this point that veto is going to get used for the first time this season either way. It just really depends on who gets it. So
And in the end, we it came down to like John and Davon, right? Like Becky had
yeah.
really good run and like Becky almost won but tripped up like I think second to last question or something. So she was
Mhm.
kind of the last elim before the final two.
Yeah.
We have Davon and John, and then Davon again like just didn't do any sort of like active throwing, really just kind of like locked in and did the comp like normal. And
Yeah.
so Davon, of our power of veto.
And it actually kind of works out in kind of a backwards, like good way for Shelly. She kind of falls backwards and do a good result
Yeah.
because she on like number 3 or number 4 or something, she just straight up like said the wrong answer and eliminated herself. But if she had said the right answer and then like moved on, she would have actually lost to John based on what his time was.
And
And
gone home.
so through her like losing earlier, it actually led to like a good result for her. Which I thought was funny.
As Drag Race told us, losing is the new winning.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna say, so what I'm hearing is as much as everyone drags Shelly for being a comp flop, like it's working out for her.
It worked in her
So
favor this time,
This time, yes,
absolutely.
yes.
And yeah, I mean, sometimes you can flop so hard you win. It is possible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
In
you
Flop
historically,
your way into a sleigh.
flop your way into success. Exactly.
Exactly,
100%.
yeah,
exactly.
famously,
Okay, Shakespeare.
my
that's
one
that
of
sweet
my
babe.
favorite card games of all time called Dutch Blitz has a rule where it's the first person to 75, but you can also go in the negatives. So the first person that gets to negative 75 also could win. So it's
Where
So
was that
Shelly,
when Pikmin and I were playing Zingland?
Yeah.
so Shelly's taking the negative 75 approach,
yeah.
but it's just as
Mhm.
Yeah,
valid.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Love
Yeah,
that.
In
yeah,
another parallel
Davon.
to season 13,
Yeah,
Shelly like falling backwards into a veto, the
that's
same
true.
way Angie accidentally Luigi'd her way into a veto. It's in another
Both
season 13
equally
parallel.
powerful.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
but
the art of not doing enough or doing nothing, mayhaps.
sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes doing nothing is best. But yes, Davon wins veto, like Swan said. It's her second competition win of the season, along with her HOH from a couple cycles ago. And she's pretty resolute. Like she obviously, if they wanted to, they could risk it and just leave noms the same and try and make sure that Shelly has the votes to say against John. But at that point, like, why risk it? Just take Shelly off. And that's exactly what she does. And Davon uses the veto on Shelly, and Shelly lives to cougar another day.
I appreciate decisiveness. Like I feel as though not enough players in this game have that, where they have like a vision of what they want to do. They like tell the right
Mhm.
people. They
Yeah,
execute it. There's no wishy washiness. Like
yeah,
chef kiss, love it. No
absolutely. And
notes.
I think it's especially good from Davon's perspective, where I see, because um, uh, Davon is like at the dead last bottom of John's like trust rankings, pretty much. Like they do not fuck with each other at all. And Shelly is like kind of middling on her right now, but obviously with such a strong like concrete thing to point to of like, hey, she just used the veto on me and saved me. Like that's a huge boon for Davon to get, and also like kind of assuring that someone that trusts you the least in the house is going out. I think it's great.
Yeah, and we just talked about how where like Liz and Vanessa and like not being able to deliver news properly or use like power to their advantage. We see this exact opposite with Devon, where she literally uses the veto on someone to specifically target someone and get someone out, and everyone knows that she's trying to get John out with this move, basically. and she gets like absolutely no blowback from it from the
Like,
house
yeah, not
at
even
all.
Liz seems that
Like
pissed
at
about it. Liz
all.
seems like minorly inconvenienced, but like Liz
Yeah.
does not. Liz isn't like "fuck you, Davon." Like like Liz is just kind of vibing.
Yeah,
Like okay,
Yeah.
it was crazy
like
that she
not
managed to,
my ideal, but that's okay. I think it
yeah,
helped that Davon kind of told her beforehand, "Hey, I might use the veto on Shelly. That's kind of where I'm thinking if I win." Like
yeah.
Yeah.
so, like Liz was prepared for it. It wasn't like a blind side. It was a conversation she had with Liz. Like
But
yeah,
yeah,
she approached it a lot
Again,
better
it's
than
about
a lot of
delivery.
others
It's
have.
about like how you
Yeah.
yeah.
do it.
But even just making such a bold move as using the veto on somebody like pre-jury in order to get someone else out, like the fact that she
Yeah.
can point to that and then not even have any blowback from it at all is so it was really good. It was a very good execution of that this
I
week. I
enjoyed
was
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. And so it very quickly, Liz doesn't even really get hung up on the Shelly part of it. She gets more hung up on like, okay, well, who the fuck am I gonna put up as the renom now? Um, uh, and I don't even think she had already kind of come to the conclusion in her mind just through like process of elimination with like all the people she's like allying with or like wants to ally with. And she's basically like, okay, well, my only choice is James. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
either it's basically either like James or Vanessa, and she doesn't want to backdoor the twins after
Yeah,
they
and
played their
James
little
kind of
game.
already had an inkling. Like James kind of figured he was going to be renom.
Yeah. And James does something which I thought was super smart too, which is something that he's kind of done progressively through the game. And like, yeah, it's not the best situation to be in, obviously, but I think he really makes the most of it. And he basically goes to Shelly and is like, hey, like I know you're really scared about being nominated. I want the veto to be used on you and I'll go up and I'm okay like taking the bullet and like I'll tough it out and I trust you to vote to keep me and I think I have a better chance of staying over John. So like I want to do this for you. And I think
Yeah.
like Davon, it was like a really, really good move for James to frame it that way or like make the
Yeah.
most of the
Hmm.
situation
It's
that does
it's the
it.
age-old play of knowing something is going to happen, like without your ability to stop it. So instead of like fighting it, you actively jump on it like before the news
Yeah.
gets out to like be like, oh,
Just
it's
act
my
like it's part
idea
of your
of what's
plan.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
It's like
Exactly. Just get
classic,
in on it from the ground
classic,
floor.
yeah,
Yeah. And so both of
classic
those things
like Big
really
Brother
just
move. It's so good.
like bump Davon and James both up like to the top of Shelley's trust rankings. They like
100%.
she loves them now. Jace also considers the idea of volunteering to be a pawn for some reason. Because Jace
Cracked.
is
My
gonna
cracked king.
Jace. Yeah, Jace is just gonna do what he wants. But that doesn't go much anywhere. I think he like maybe tries to sort of bring it up to Liz, and Liz is like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. Whatever. Like, we're gonna put up James. But and yeah, I mean that pretty much sets it in. James is kind of mad about it for a little bit, but after it seems that it's not really going to change no matter what he does. He kind of just leans into it and makes the most of
And
it.
James at least keeps the anger like in the DR
Yeah.
energy, like
Yeah.
it's not like James isn't like flailing around the house being like, I'm so pissed.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
the thing James gets most mad about is that once Savon uses the veto and takes Shelly off and James gets named as the replacement nominee, the thing he gets frustrated about is he actually gets frustrated with Shelly because Shelly
Oh, oh,
puts in like the house chat like, thanks guys, thanks so much for using the veto on me. It's been super stressful. I'm gonna fuck off now. Bye. I mean, she doesn't say that specifically, but like basically Shelly after
That was the
complaining
subtext.
yeah, Shelly, after complaining publicly that no one was really talking to her, that wasn't like that no one was in her corner, that she couldn't really like vibe with anybody, and then Davon uses the veto on her, and then she publicly is like, "All right, I'm gonna fuck off for a while. I won't talk to anybody until like next round, whatever."
that's
And
that's
James
my
is
biggest
yeah,
frustration.
and James gets like,
I'd be
well, then
pissed
what?
too.
Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like, why did like I did all this
Yeah,
just for you to, like literally fuck off and not care about me, or like about like even try to work on saving like campaigning to save me, or like doing anything with like the power or like the freedom
hmm
you've been given that you were like begging the whole house for. It was not a great look
it's
from
like you're
Shelly.
complaining that
And
that people are saying they're not connecting with you, and then you
yeah,
literally just like fully logged off because you were immune. I've said this in multiple Survivor confessionals, like trying to like episode title bait, but like immunity is currency. Spend it wisely. Like I hate when I'm on a tribe like wins tribal immunity and everybody's like, well, I'm going off for the night. Like talk to y'all tomorrow. And it's like, no, like build relationships, use the power, use the time you
Mm-hmm.
have to solidify things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shelly, you're saying that these people aren't connecting with you. Use this to connect with people. Somebody just stuck his neck out for you to save you. Stick your neck back out and work to save him as well. Like put in effort to campaign.
Yeah.
That makes that'll make a huge difference. Even if
Yeah.
like you're not the power player, you're not going to swing anybody. At least James will be like, okay, I made the right call because Shelly's in my corner.
Or
Meanwhile,
even
Shelly
if you're
just kind
not
of
going to do that because you're like afraid of kind of exposing your relationship, at least work on deepening your bonds with other people to make yourself
yes,
a more valuable ally down the like in the future. You know what I
correct.
mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That way you
Or
have more
just
social capital to spend in order to help them.
yeah. Or just like talk to people so that way they don't put you up again if you're going to complain
That
about being
too.
nominated. Like
Yeah.
again, not that I don't understand it because no one wants to be nominated, but to
Yeah.
complain about being nominated and then get safety and then do nothing in response to attempt to not get nominated
And
again was
I
a
even
lot.
understand the impulse to like take a step back to be like, all right,
Hmm.
that was really, really stressful. That was a lot of weeks in a row. I need to like take a breather.
Yeah.
But you don't really like announce it publicly though. Like
No. Yeah,
you
No.
it
can
was
even use it
the
as like a way to bond with people individually by just sending a fucking copy paste to every single your like
Mm-hmm.
one-on-ones going like,
yes.
hey, I'm just gonna take a step back. And that way someone feels it's a little bit more personal. It's a little bit more like
Yeah.
kind of have that like tailored.
It's
I
the
don't know.
public it's the public I'm fucking off message that like really and that was what like made people frustrated was that it was the whole public message. Like they were like, what was the point of any of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
love Shelly, but that was not it.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, Davon does go ahead and use the veto on Shelley, and Liz does put James up as the replacement nominee. And this all but flushes John like down the toilet. Like it's not
Yeah.
there's not really anything that is going to be able to be done about this. But not for lack of trying, because John probably puts on the best campaign that we've seen from a nominee so far. Albeit that's not
Hmm.
saying a lot from a lot of these people. But he definitely has people actually like actively considering keeping him over James, which is quite the feat given how connected and well liked James is.
I was scared. Like I was
Yeah.
legitimately stressed out for a bit.
Yeah, especially because the first few votes that came in,
Yeah.
like Audrey does her hinky vote bullshit per usual, knowing damn well where all the votes are going and doing the opposite on purpose. But then
Audrey
I'm
was
just waiting.
insane with her, like, you know what, James, I am so in your corner. I just want to show you how much I have your back. I'm going to vote right now so you see how locked in I am. In her subs, I vote to evict James. Bitch, what are you doing?
she
Like
always
I
does some shit like that. She's always like, she'll do her hinky vote and be like, I just voted you guys. I feel so good about this. Love you bunches.
I
And then
live
like
for
fucks
it.
off.
I
She's
love a
insane.
hinky voter. I love a hinky voter. I think it's even funnier when people actually take it seriously. Like 'cause in games, I'm
mhm.
always like, I don't care about a hinky. Well, first of all, in games, in Big Brother, I'm often doing hinky votes early on, but I'm always like, who cares? Literally, it's just somebody
Yeah.
trying to cause chaos and cause questions, and so like discord and make like distrust in the house. And if you're talking about the hinky votes, you're already letting them win. So
Yeah.
like
I
I think Jeff was like trying to like figure out who the hinky votes are. Like other players are like trying to figure out who the hinky votes are. I'm like, no, just don't pay it any mind. Like it's
I'm
Yeah.
not somebody
so
not somebody didn't actually think there was going to be a majority here. Like they just are doing this to fuck
yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for Audrey to accidentally hinky vote one time and it like fuck up a situation. Like I am just waiting for her to throw
Yeah.
her little vote out and it to like actually be catastrophic. I want that to happen
When
so
we almost voted out Lawan because,
yeah, very another BB
Exactly that.
Rewards 13 parallel, all the fucking hinky votes.
oh
Like
my God.
I cannot wait for like Audrey to accidentally like it's cause like
Send somebody home.
something
Well, here's my
catastrophic.
one thing about hinky votes. They're cute early in the game. They stop becoming cute pretty damn quickly. Like
Yeah.
we're reaching a period where like it's not gonna cut it like that. What I do love about this eviction is we do have two people pretty actively campaigning and making good
Yeah.
campaigns
Hmm.
for themselves and against each other. John is really fighting. It's pointed out by multiple house guests that like he's a good talker. He's campaigning really well. So like James just makes sure like James has allies in his corner. They're letting him know like he's talking well, he's making points. Like, I'm still keeping you, but you need to make sure you're checking in with these people. There's lots of discussion. Apparently, like, Vanessa was telling people some shady things. Like, she seemed undecided about the vote, yet she's telling James, like, I got you 100%. Like, you're so good. And then other allies are like, yeah, she seems on the fence. And James is like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
Like,
it's not
which
good.
is
Yeah.
making James incredibly paranoid, rightfully so. Even though in the end he really has nothing to worry about. But like, I mean, I think we'd all be paranoid if, like, we were hearing different things than we were being told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the sentiment of, oh, maybe we should vote out James and keep John comes from this third degree burn alliance that Liz has created with
Yeah.
Becky and Audrey. And so
That gets
Audrey's
leaked
obviously
immediately
Audrey
to
knows damn
Jace.
well that James is gonna stay, but she does her hinky vote or whatever. And then I don't even think Becky really thinks that John is gonna stay either, but she feels bad, and it's basically like a pity vote for John to
Yeah.
stay. And then everyone else is just like whatever, and like kind of and
Well,
just vote for John.
this I mean, we need to talk about this third degree burn alliance because it gets leaked from Audrey to Jace immediately, and then from Jace to everyone else immediately.
Yeah,
And that causes like everybody, like Jace, Jackie, James, like all of these, like
Meg Day.
Davon, Meg, like all of these, like the power, basically every single power player of the season finds out about this alliance immediately.
Yeah,
And it causes all of them to be like, well, fuck Liz and Becky. Like
yeah,
like it really kind of immediately cut any traction that Liz or Becky were able to make this week with Liz winning HOH, which again, like we said, didn't go very well in general, but it basically cut anything that could have possibly been good because it ended the cycle on everybody finding out that Liz made this alliance and they were trying to like flip the vote or whatever, and it like pissed everybody off, and they figured out Liz and Becky were not trustworthy anymore for them.
and if anything, it makes it worse than what where
Yeah.
they were at before. So. But yes, a lot of it even goes to the point where a lot of people are like, "Damn, I kind of wish Shelly stayed on the block because this John campaign is like really good, but I cannot keep him over James. Like James has got to stay." And the votes kind of come in, and it's despite a great effort and actually making very valid points and having a super solid campaign, John does get evicted by a vote of 8-2 with
But the votes took a while to come in. Like people
yeah.
were actually like considering it a bit,
Yeah, I mean, far more than they have in any of the previous cycles,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah, and when votes started coming in, people kind of freaked out a little bit. Like, what? Like, why is it already like? I do think it was pretty settled that John was going to go, but people were like, we haven't had the full necessary conversations yet.
Hmm.
Well, it's funny because that was John freaking out. The votes were coming in. He's like, no, 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 give me a chance. But there were votes for him to stay
Hmm.
at first, like the ones that were coming in at first. The ones to save James, like, came in the next day. That's
Yeah.
why I was so
Yeah.
freaking out. I'm like, wait, is this shit gonna actually flip? Like, I need my little country boy to stay in.
Yeah, because all the pro John votes were like the first ones to come in.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Audrey, like, being such a locked in vote for James publicly, and then like being a hanky vote for, in reality, really freaked me out because I'm like, fuck, they could really be the numbers. Like,
yeah,
I
Well,
have
you were
having Jinx
paranoid.
talk
You were
me down.
paranoid about Jace flipping. Meanwhile, Jace is like coaching James in real time about the vote, being like, "Hey, this is what's being said. This is what you need to do." Meanwhile, Alex is in host chat, like, "Is Jace gonna flip? Is Jace gonna flip?"
You
Not-
okay, to be fair, I feel like I've done a lot of snaky bullshit where I am like publicly coaching someone and also voting them out. So like
Ooh, noted.
very good.
Yeah,
thank
truly.
God I'm retired.
But yes, we do lose good old Johnny Mac.
And then, in honor of Play Week, in honor of my iconic competition of dramatic BBR speeches, John gives an all-timer. An all-timer. He out Sheila'd Sheila Kennedy. He out Jocosted Jocosta Odom. Like we have like general house call out. We have individual call outs. We have calling Jace a pussy. We like we have everything. We have him misrepresenting information about Jason and Jeff. Like just every
We have
oh,
him
it was
telling
so
Shelly to
good.
stop crying about being on the block. We
Oh
have
my God,
like
yes. Yes.
Oh, that would God, it was as soon as he said like guys, I'm gonna need to like wait until I get out of class to do final words. I was like, oh, I'm sat. I'm sat. We're getting spicy final words.
Yeah.
And
And like, is it if it's more than one comment, and we're like, oh, we accommodate melodrama very much here. Like,
Yeah.
please
yeah.
send
Yeah, he was like,
everything.
is this too long? And we were like, it's not long enough. It could be longer. And I
Do
was
you
like,
have exhibits? We will include them, sir, as long as they're not
Mhm.
screenshots.
let
Like,
me
keep it
I want to
coming.
give I'm gonna give a few little tastes.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Finally, I can let out my inner bitch. Um, this is so Sheila coded. I offered safety, being a shield, being a pawn, loyalty, alliances, etc. to every single one of you, and only one of you said you had my back, which is funny because I was in an alliance with 4 of you. That doesn't add up now, does it? That's also funny because it's like if you're offering something to everybody, you're offering something to nobody. But
Yeah,
I
that's
digress.
literally what Davon
Uh,
said. Davon was like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck?" Like, if you're
I'll say
offering
I'm
it to
most disappointed in
everybody,
Meg.
like,
Shelly girl, you piss me off. For the love of God, stop crying about being on the block. You're not the only one that's been up multiple times. And then where's Jace, bro, grow some balls. You can't go with the house every time. And word for word, I have to go with the house on this one. It's genuinely the most pussy shit I've heard all game. I will say I hate when people get mad about the going with the house excuse because it's like, no, that literally is the thing. Like, it's an excuse people say to people, but like you do have to go with the majority of votes. The problem is when enough people use that as an excuse, the nominee then thinks they have the chance. If you people just wouldn't go with the House, but when somebody tells you they have to go with the House, they just mean they want to vote you out. Like, be for real. Like, we've all played enough times to know what going with the House actually means.
Yeah. But yeah, that was largely the cycle. Ended with a bang for sure. But
Ugh,
it's time
thank
we
God.
all have our MVP points this go around. Per
mhm.
usual, we each get 1 point for who we think did the best at whatever criteria we think. So who would like to go first for their MVP point? Yes, Graham.
I will.
Graham.
Are we also doing LVPs this
No,
round or just MVPs? Just
just
MVPs. Okay.
MVPs. LVPs are no more.
We don't need to drag redacted more.
We're
Help.
practicing kindness.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I know. So my MVP is going to be Davon. I think that even though I don't think she was number one of the power rankings, I think that still probably goes to Jace in terms of positioning. I think as far as like this cycle specifically, I think she is like absolutely my MVP. She just ate the cycle up one side, down the other. She got exactly what she wanted, no blowback whatsoever, and she's in a great position. I don't think she goes up really on anybody's HOH now, at least as an initial nominee, maybe as like a renom or something if something crazy happens. But like I don't think she goes up initially under anybody, even under Battle of the Block where there's 4 nominees. So that is a because she is one writing the draft of the super huge power players like Jace and Jackie, not coattails, but she's, drafting off of them, right? Because she's not running the coattails because she's a strong player in her own right, but she's using them as almost like giant shields. Go after Jace and Jackie before you come to me. Which like she's doing what Jackie's doing to Jace. Now she's doing it to Jackie. It's like this um triple like shielding, which is kind of funny. But sure, like I said
Shield
earlier,
pyramid.
already yeah, little pyramid, shield pyramid.
Her
I already
pyramid
talked about it.
scheme.
Yeah. The hierarchy of needs,
Ah.
just shield. She I mean I talked about it earlier, but she used the veto, got out somebody that she wanted. It was an extreme, honestly, one of the more strategic like veto uses I think I've seen in BB Ryan's in a while, at least in terms of like someone being like, I'm using this veto as a maneuver to get someone else out. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that happen in a while. And she does it with no blowback. Like I already said that it's not like nobody bats an eye at this. She does it. The HOH isn't even like pissed off at her for it. Like she gets the person she wants gone and she gets literally no blood on her hands somehow, even though it was literally her doing that got John out, right? And like no one was like even like bat an eye at it. So she's my MVP just because like, I think she did the best overall this week in managing threat level and competition win, and she's just eating it up. So that's my winner pick. We love Devon.
Period. I mean, I have to agree. All the things that you said and more. It was between Jace and Davon for me for this MVP point. And when I really broke it down, I went and looked in the trust rankings, and Jace had, or John had Jace at like number one or like number two in the power
Mhm.
rankings. So that's not great. Obviously, pretty much everybody has Jace at least in like their top four or something. I think Jason is the only person that doesn't have him in like his top five, which is crazy. But I think that kind of put it over the edge for me for Davon because John had Davon at like 11 or like 12 or something. And so I think it's kind of like what Swan was saying earlier, like taking these competition wins and like doing something with it instead of just kind of treating it as immunity. Davon won this competition, correctly saw what like the optimal thing for her to do would be in order for her to get someone that does not trust her at all evicted while earning more trust and getting more power with another person on the block. I thought it was perfect. And yeah, all of that just gets Davon the MVP point for me as well.
I was between Davon and somebody else, not Jace, but for the sake of spreading the love, I am going to go with my non-Davon option since we've already got 2 votes for Davon. I'm going to say James, actually. I
Yeah.
think James played this cycle really well from the relative bottom. James would have been Liz's renom no matter who was pulled off, but James would have been safe next to either Shelly or John. Pretty comfortably so, I think. James had multiple allies in his corner, fighting for him, feeding him information, coaching him on how to approach people, all of this. And that move that he did with Shelley kind of getting ahead of the nomination, while it was sort of a wasted effort of gaining Shelley's trust because she just kind of dipped after. I do think it was smart and very like shows game awareness to me. Like James is very aware of dynamics. James knew he was going to hit the block. James uh knew like Davon was gonna veto Shelley, so like let me pitch this to like get ahead of things and make it seem like I'm part of the plan and like that I'm totally okay with this, and just played all of his social relationships really well after being nominated, I thought. And despite like small fear of a flip, was in relatively little danger.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So I have a little bit of a left field one as far
Oh,
as my MVP pick.
Oh no.
I literally took notes on my phone because I knew I would
it's
have to defend
Jason.
this. No, it's more special than that for
Are
me.
you about to give this
Um,
thing to Liz? Is that what
I
you're about to
am,
do?
I am about to give this
What?
to Liz. Okay, look, okay, I know that I might be grading on a curve here, but she may have ignored her DMs for 4 days, but then she came back and fucking won an HOH that she needed to win in order to stay off the block. And she immediately started scheming with her close allies as far as what to do with it. Like, she was trying to keep John in the house. She may have nominated him in the first place, but let's ignore that. Anyway, she wanted to get Shelly out. Okay, stop it. I can see you guys looking at me like I'm crazy.
No,
Here's my thing.
listen, it's
I
your
would agree
MVP
with it.
point.
I would agree with
You
it
can do
more
whatever.
if she was able to pull off the Shelly boot. But I get what you're saying. Her instincts are in the
Yeah.
right place.
So basically, I think the thing that I found impressive is that she basically really kicked it up strategically as far as her discussions with people. Like, I saw multiple people say in their DRs, like, oh, wait, Liz is actually like kind of good at this game. Like,
Gaming.
she's actually like gaming. She's playing harder than I thought she was. Like, I think it made people consider her an actual player instead of just like a
Mm-hmm.
little NPC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really like that, and I really appreciate that. Like, did she get what she wanted this week? No. Did her alliance that she created immediately get leaked? Yes. However, she's trying, and I appreciate that. And I know, like, a little bit of a spoiler, she's continuing to try. Like, she didn't just fuck off from her DMs again, you know? Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
she's like repaired her relationship with Jackie a bit. I saw this week Jackie kind of go like, "Oh, I think we misunderstood Liz. I had a really good conversation with her." And like, I think that she might not have done it in the cleanest way possible. You know, this definitely was not a Meg HOH, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was a springboard that she needed in order to like keep her being considered a viable player in this game.
Yeah.
You know.
And you know what? Shinx gave Austin an MVP point last cycle, and he got evicted. So
Exactly. And oh, the other thing that
Shinx
I
did
had,
what now? Jesus Christ.
yeah, Jinx is insane. The other
Why
thing
do
that I
we let
had
him run this
also
org?
was that like I understood that James was frustrated with Liz because he's like, oh, how dare you put me up, you know, like you haven't even been around to talk game with me, blah blah blah. And it's like, someone, like, she has just as much of a right to play the game as he does, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
it just kind of, I love James, but I was a little bit put off with the way he was acting, as if it was like Liz didn't have a right to like win HOH and nominate people because she ignored her DMs for 4 days. Like, that's
Yeah.
actually why she should be winning HOH, because she ignored her DMs, like to
Yeah.
kickstart those conversations again, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know. Good job, Liz.
It's your
You needed
MVP
that
point,
win. You got
Alex.
it.
You are entitled to do
So,
whatever you want with it. So
and feminism, okay?
And it's an MVP point from a woman, so it only counts for like 3/4 of a point anyway. So
God.
Okay, I
Anyways,
I'm
declare
gonna
that
block you.
there was a
Yes.
big shot of me going, right as you said that, and it was not in response to that. I just want everyone to
And you
know.
guys wonder why I'm like, thank God Sydney's on the podcast again. This is what happens when Sydney drops off.
Literally,
Gets
Sydney
yes.
attacked by
for 15
misogyny
She
minutes.
from all
disappears and
angles.
suddenly misogyny's everywhere.
Yes, Sydney had to go, but I will put in right now, after I finish this statement, she will now give her MVP point as well, whoever she deems, and she will, of course, give away the top billing of the cycle for that. So, Sydney, the floor is yours.
So I hate to give the same person MVP and top billing because if I can, it's nice to switch it up. But similar to last week, this week both go to the same person for me, and that's Day, queen of my life. And it's a lot because I love how even though she didn't want or even expect to get power, when she did get it, it was really like she did everything right that she could, and she immensely benefited by keeping an ally in Shelly and making Shelly get a lot closer to her by saving her, and then also getting out Johnny Mac, who she was not close with at all and was pretty much one of her few big weak spots in the game. So yeah, Day gets my top billing. Love her, queen. She slayed.
Thank you so much, Sydney.
Woo!
You are just
Period.
so wise,
Sydney.
as always.
And this time it'll be sound in there.
Yes, this time,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, the only thing we have left is our nominees for the categories. I can confirm that from last week, it was, of course, the nominees for most memorable sweep week in Rewind's history, inspired by Meg's very successful sweep week last week. And um, just a quick rundown. The recaps, of course, were in BB Rewind's All Stars, Lori Loughlin making Laura Dern extinct after she failed to use her coup d'etat. We have in Rewind's 11, we have Shima going rogue on Jen and
No,
Shima.
shut
Yeah,
the fuck up.
it was
One
on
of the
there.
worst sweep weeks in Rewind's history.
It's almost
In
like you guys don't listen to the podcast. I feel like
Yeah,
you
that's
should
not
go
my
into the
problem.
Rewinds Rewind
I actually have to
channel.
catch up. I'm gonna start episode 2 on the drive to work today.
Period. As you should.
Period.
Also in Rewinds 11, we have Casey backdooring Shima at the double eviction.
Now that's taste.
In Rewinds 12, we had Brittany refusing the Diamond Power of Veto, only to get backdoored the next week anyways. In Rewinds 14, we had Danielle's final 9 and then final 8 sweep week head of household as it goes up in flames with Frank quitting and Janelle getting evicted. In 15, we have Tiny Kong taking the Weed Whacker to Sunflower at the final 11. In 16, we had Nicole's Fairy Week splitting the house down 6-5 for the vote. And of course, in this very season, we had Meg's Mop Week, as Shinx described it, with the last laugh going into her sweep week. And I can't. This was another close one. It was closer than the ones we had, but it was pretty split. But ultimately, with 37% of the vote, we indeed have Tiny Kong taking the Weed Whacker to
Period.
Sunflower in
Period.
Rewinds
That
2.
was so
Period.
fun.
Yes.
That was very cathartic.
For this
Sorry,
week,
Leo.
of course, inspired, Swan gave us a little taste of what it is, inspired by Johnny Mac's big explosive final words following his eviction. The category for this week is going to be most dramatic final words in Rewind's history. So
Oh,
obviously I
I
have
thought
to.
it was just most dramatic speeches in Rewind history.
Oh, it's final words. I guess it could be
Okay,
speeches. We
okay,
can do speeches. Should it be
okay.
speeches?
Let's
Do
just
we
fucking
have that
nominate
many
things
final
that
words?
Swan can do like dramatic readings of. So I think it fits.
It's great. So yeah, I'm making.
If you don't have any final words that come to mind, just speeches is great.
Okay,
Okay, okay.
I'll make a call. I'll make a judgment call. We're changing it to most dramatic speeches in Rewind's history. How about that? And of
Okay, okay.
course, given that it's the inspiration for the award itself, I have to put Johnny Mac's final words on here. It was
Mm-hmm.
iconic. Swan gave us a taste of it, and it was some of the best final words we've had in quite some time. So that is my nominee. Does anyone else have a nominee they would like to
Yeah,
throw in
yeah,
for it?
yeah. So I have two. One of them was a speech, and the other one I think is final words. So who is it? Was on season 11 was I curse you bald final words?
It
Yes,
was.
that's
That was Russell's
Russell.
final words.
Yeah,
My favorite first
Russell's
food of all time.
my favorite first boot of all time, Russell from BB Rewind's 11 said I curse you bald on his way out of the BB
To
Rewind.
Braden and Jordan
Powerful.
after
The
they'd
braid.
made multiple jokes to his face about Russell being bald.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It
That's a
was
great
very,
one.
very good.
Mhm.
So that's one of my favorites. It's not like a huge long speech, but it's so striking. It doesn't need any more than
It's
just that.
perfect. Yeah.
Very
That one
succinct, yeah.
sentence is great.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ooh,
period.
come on, Shakespeare. And so my other one is if we're doing just regular speeches, that's my final words. Regular speeches would be Cole's chocolate starfish monologue.
Oh Lord. Yeah.
Yes.
At
Yes.
in
Of course,
responding
of
to
course.
JoJo's question at the final two.
Both of those speeches were recited by yours truly in the last iteration of this
Yeah,
competition.
yeah.
Yes. Those, I mean,
So
those are
those are
perfect.
my two
Those
nominees.
fit the bill, absolutely.
So
All right. Well, I have to. I'm not gonna not talk about myself here, and I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
but they really are like the final words of rewinds. Like
If you say so
house guests
yourself.
were house. No, Alex, you weren't there. House
I
guests who
know.
got
It's
it.
just so funny.
House guests who got evicted after me reposted my final words as their own. It got memed. It got copy pasted.
It's
Funny
true.
enough, a couple months ago, I played another Big Brother org where I gave like really bitter final words, and they got reposted by other people as they got evicted. It got memed. It got copy pasted, and I literally said in jury, I was like, "Why is this not the first time this has happened to me?"
You're just that powerful with your speeches. It's true.
But also, don't fucking betray me and you won't get fucking bitter ass final words. I'm sorry. I literally popped out of there because I remember like the eviction happened while I was in therapy, I think. So I popped straight out of my therapy appointment, typed that shit up on my phone, and let them fucking have it. It wasn't even necessarily the wisest choice because they had to vote to potentially bring somebody
Therapy
back
works,
into the
people.
game. And like so they I was like I'm maybe shooting myself in the foot here because why would they want to bring me back into the game if I'm like scorched earth on their asses. But yeah, I let them have it Sheila Kennedy style.
Sheila out.
Those words Sheila out. I've repurposed them as my joke final words both in like Rewind Your Game season 11 and Traders. Like it stays with me. It's it's some of my finest work
It's
really.
very absolutely.
Calling people out, like go look at twist info again. People think I'm calling them out when they literally just don't realize I'm talking about the twist. Like it's
So good. So good.
Sheila Kennedy, ladies and gentlemen. And then
Yeah.
alongside myself, I will give the one other I called an all timer earlier, and that is Joe Costa's eviction speech.
Yes.
Dragging Zach within an inch of his life. Just so
Oh,
beautiful, so well done,
so
so
good.
powerful. She had
That is-
receipts, timeline, proof, screenshots, everything. Like
It was
Exactly.
literally better structured than half the final tribal council speeches I see.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
very well put together.
It was
Let me take
formatted.
you
There was
back
a
even
through
further to
line.
week one.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was so
yeah,
good.
it
So
was great
Listening
work.
to
That
your
was
little voice thing of it, I'm like, honestly, bitch, work. Yes.
No,
Like
she
yeah,
ate it.
it was that was a fun one to go back and perform.
It was
So
it was
props to
even
Chris for
funnier
that.
because she instantly posted the entire
Yeah,
thing the
she was
moment
ready.
it was
She'd been
locked.
preparing.
Yeah, so everyone knew that she had this like ready. It was so
Yeah.
I love a kill document. I just
Yeah.
love that.
absolutely. Do you have any nominees, Alex?
I do have one nominee.
Yeah.
So I was originally thinking about doing like basically Tiny Kong's curse when we backdoored her at Final Seven,
Uh-huh.
where she basically goes through like each person and tries to like subtly throw them underneath the bus or like putting a bigger target on their back.
Yeah.
But then I remembered Hades' speech, week one.
Right. How could I
And
forget?
it starts with nada, this ain't over yet, flame emoji, and just proceeds to lay out the most unhinged and inaccurate reads on the house.
Yep.
And it was just a work of art. And
Tells Shanks to get a life.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Shanks was like convinced that he was talking about him like cheating or something, and then started
Yes.
spiraling.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So good.
Honestly, Hades was such an icon, and
Hades
I miss him so much.
People were
And I
questioning, people were questioning our decision to bring Jen back from 14.
Why
And
would you question
that alone made me
Earned her
feel
spot. Yeah.
absolutely okay with the decision.
She came into the game and immediately just started role playing as a Greek god. Like, what the fuck? Are you serious? I was
Powerful
so here
stuff.
for it.
Powerful
Me
stuff.
talking about like his wife Persephone and just like chatting about his day, like smiting souls, was
good.
very wildly entertaining.
Yes. Incredible.
But yeah, so
that's my nomination.
That's a great nom. Yeah, so that is 6 nominees for most dramatic speeches in Rewind's history. I think that's a great number. And we've had a great pod. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, so glad I was finally able to join with my little work
It's so fun having you
schedule.
finally, Sloan. Yeah, we will see you guys next time. Y'all know where we'll
Next
be. Same
time.
time, same place. Bye.
Bye.